You know, hitting a golf ball is easy and the game is fun. And that's really what this series is going to be all about. Hi, I'm Bob Kurtz. You know, I covered the PGA Tour for over 10 years, and it was exciting watching all the great players and the way they struck the ball and shot those 64s and 65s, but they really are not indicative of the average golfer. Statistics tell us that the average score that is shot in the United States for men is 23 over par. For seniors, it's 24 over par. For women, it's even higher than that. So in our series, we want to show you how to break 90. Now, why are the scores so high? Well, I think it's because of a number of reasons. Essentially, number one, it's a bad attitude, a bad approach to striking the ball. All kinds of negative feelings come in. That's number one. Secondly, a poor short game. And then, of course, on number three, we have disaster. You know what disaster is all about. You're playing a hole and you take a 6, 7, 8, or 9. You usually have 2 or 3 of those on each 9 holes. Well, that is exactly what we're going to deal with, those 3 things. And with me to help on this series is going to be my daughter Beth, whom you see behind me striking golf balls, who is a fine young woman player. And actually that helps perhaps even more because we might learn more from watching women players. I'm talking about us fellows. Watching a good woman player, learn more from them than watching some of the pros who hit the ball so strong and so far. So let's start with number one, the attitude, the fear that comes within us, the negative thoughts, and learn that really hitting a golf ball is easy. Now watch what I'm talking about. Hitting a ball is easy. You know, watch this. We tee up one golf ball and we tee up another golf ball right next to it. That's 2 golf balls. Now, we're going to hit those 2 golf balls with the club. Why? Because that's how big the golf ball really is. Look at this. You can hit it on the toe and strike that one, and toward the heel and hit this one. Here we go. Surprising, isn't it? What it really means is that the size of a golf ball is, in reality, about the size of a softball. You've got a target about that big to hit. Now, why do the good players, like Beth behind me, swing so easy and so confidently? Because they know that. Hitting a golf ball is easy. The target is large. Stop and think. How many times have you stood up to a dandelion, made this great smooth swing, or there's a broken tee on the ground? Same thing. You look at the broken tee. Nobody has ever missed a dandelion or a broken tee because you're confident. You make that smooth swing, and then all of a sudden they put a ball in front of you, you tighten up. So that's what the first part of this series is going to be about. We want you to relax. We want you to clear your mind, make smooth swings, get rid of all those negative fears, and sort of to paraphrase Julius Burrows, what we want you to do is clear your mind, swing easy, and hit hard. Let's do it. Now remember, hitting a golf ball is easy. The target is big. Don't stop and think about the out of bounds right, about the trouble on the left, and freeze yourself up. Remember, the target is the ball. It's not out there. You just swing easy, hit the ball hard, and you've got the first step on your way to breaking 90. I wonder if this is you over the golf ball. Let's see what you say. I want to get my grip, my left hand over a little bit. Let's see. The right hand goes up. The V points at the right cheek, or is it the right eye? Let's see. Right shoulder back, tilt from the waist. Bend the knees. Hands forward. Oh, head down. Well, the point is, of course, that the game should be fun and the swing should be a lot easier than that. You cannot be thinking while you're standing over the golf ball, obviously, or something like that would happen. What we want you to do is to get all your swing thoughts together when you are behind the ball, and then just walk up, go through a little simple movement, and then hit it dead straight. Now, the principles that we're going to talk about are very simple. And I'd like to bring in my daughter Beth and introduce you to her, and we'll talk about those swing principles. Beth, would you come in here now?
Be happy to.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about hitting a golf ball straight because this little thing hits the ball very, very straight. We were playing together in Sebring, Florida in the mixed team championships, and the only time this sweet young thing has ever gotten mad at her dad. And what it was, we were playing the Chapman system, which means I was playing from the back tee, she was playing from the up front ladies' tees, but I was hitting her tee shot and she was hitting mine. I was having fun. I was playing from the dead center of every fairway, having little wedges. And where were you?
I was behind trees, in bunkers, in grass, in bushes.
Behind palm trees, in the swamp. She had been places she had never been before.
Saw animals I'd never seen.
At about the 14th hole, she says, "Dad, would you please just put one ball into play?" Well, the point is that Beth hits the ball very straight because she is fundamentally sound, and she does a couple of things that I want to share with you. 3 points. 1, good grip. 2, good setup. And then 3, pre-swing routine. First, the grip. Of course, that's so important. If you're going to hit the ball straight, keep it in play. Now, we're not going to be involved in a lot of V's and angles, but we'll look at Beth's grip. The back of her left hand is facing the target. In fact, the back of her left hand and the face of the golf club are exactly the same angle. Whatever the back of her left hand does, the golf club does. That's how she can maneuver. That's how she can hit it straight. So remember, keep the back of your left hand at the exact same angle as the face of the club face. All right, now put your right hand on it, Beth. Now the right hand lays simply on top of the left hand, but notice the palm of her right hand is facing the exact angle as the back of her left hand. So the ball is going to go straight. The hands are, take it back very slowly. Notice how our hands work together so beautifully because the back of the left hand, the palm of the right hand are exactly together. Now I don't care if you use overlap grip, interlocking grip, grip it with a baseball grip, whatever you do, but just do that. Keep the two hands working together, and that will get you started on the first part of the basics, and that is a good grip. Take a look at Beth and pay close attention. Okay, Beth, go ahead and hit the ball. Nice shot, nice shot. Okay, now we're going to move to fundamental number 2, and that is address position or setup. Okay, address the ball. High ball. No, everybody says that. We're not going to use cheap jokes like that, are we? No, not us. We're above that. Now notice in the setup, simple things. Beth's head is behind the ball on this side of the ball. Her hands are ahead of the ball. Okay, head behind, hands ahead. Her feet are square. Her hips are square, and her shoulders are all square to the line of flight. That's the simple principle that you have to do. Now, don't have the right shoulder set up over here like this. Have the hands behind the ball. You've seen this kind of position. Just remember, the chin, go ahead, set up properly. The chin is behind the ball. The hands are in front. Okay, go ahead and hit it, Beth. Okay, nice shot. Now, the next most important thing, the third fundamental, is what we call a pre-swing routine. Did you notice when Beth hit that last shot that she kind of waggled a little bit before she did? That's what we're talking about with fundamental number 3, pre-shot routine or pre-swing routine. In other words, you cannot swing from a stationary start. About 5 years ago, Beth learned it from Bert Yancey, who is an excellent, excellent teacher. And it stayed with her. In fact, it was so good that when I mentioned to her the other day, and it's such a part of her routine, she had trouble figuring out what her pre-swing routine is. But it's 2 waggles and then she goes. So watch her. Go ahead. Start your pre-swing routine, Beth. 1 waggle, 2 waggles, puts the club down, takes it back, and hits it. Okay, now watch. She did that while I was talking. Nothing distracted her because she had a pre-swing routine. Go ahead and hit it again, Beth. She walks up to the ball. She sets the club head down. 1 waggle, 2 waggles, and she hits it. Okay? Wouldn't you like to be able to hit like that when people are talking? But go ahead, do it again. Pre-swing routine, same thing. Sets the club down, 1 waggle, 2 waggles, sets it down, and hits the ball. 3 shots, dead solid, perfect. Now, what we want you to do is work on your grip. Put a lot of emphasis on your grip. Make sure that the back of the left hand and the palm of the right hand are facing each other and working together. Work on that. Get a good, solid grip so you can play the game. Then work on your setup. Make certain that your right shoulder is back, that your chin is behind the ball, and that your hands are in front. That's all you have to remember. Then work on a pre-shot routine. Whatever it is, 1 waggle, 2 waggles, 3 waggles. Gary Player starts it with a kick of his right knee. Whatever it is, get it going. Practice it in front of the mirror. And then when you go out and hit balls, even on the practice range, use your pre-shot routine. So your mind is clear. Now, when you start to hit a golf ball, you stand behind it, you look at the shot, you walk up to it, you've already got that perfect address, perfect setup, 1 waggle, 2 waggles, and hit it. And every shot will be dead, solid, perfect. You may not even break 90, you may break 80, you may break 70. Who knows what you can shoot. But the game will be a lot of fun. Now you're ready for that first tee shot. You're thinking properly. Hitting a golf ball is easy and the game is fun. You line up behind the golf ball, you see the shot, and you walk up. Got excellent address position. Right shoulder back, chin back, hands in front, couple little pre-swing moves, and then, oh no! You slice the ball. It's there in the woods. It's out of play. You're ready to throw your club, kick the dog, scream at your wife, because now we have arrived at the #1 problem in all of golf. What perhaps keeps more golfers from breaking 90 than any other thing. We're talking about the all-time ugly, the El Stinko, the dreaded slice. Now, how do we cure that problem? Now, if we cure that problem, you're going to love me, you're going to be nice to your wife, and you're going to stop kicking your dog. How do we cure it? Well, a lot of people try a lot of different things. They say, well, I've got to close my stance, get my right shoulder back, get the ball back in the stance a little bit, or I've got to turn my left hand over, my right hand under. Well, the thing is that you can do all those and you still can slice the ball. Why does a golf ball slice? One simple reason, and one reason only: the club face. At impact, the club face is open. So all you have to do to cure your slice is make sure that the club face is closing. Not closed, but it's closing at impact. We're going to show you how to do it. We're not going to do it with the driver. We're going to take a little wedge and show you how to close the club face so you can be rid of that dreaded slice forever. And you'll love me for it. We're not going to use a driver. We're going to use the pitching wedge. And we're going to use the wedge because it's easier for you to see the ball in the air and also to see a smaller swing. The principle is still the same. We want the club face closing at impact. Not closed, closing. Okay, let's tee up the ball and see how we're going to do this. All I want you to think about are the thumbs. And I want the thumbs up after impact. In other words, you come through the ball and your thumbs go up. See how they're up? Right here. The thumbs are up. Now, usually what happens, the reason the club face stays closed is because when a person swings, watch my hands. The back of the left hand stays looking up at the sky. The thumb is pointed to the ground. Now, if the thumb goes up, the club face closes after impact. That's what we want you to think about. So, from here, the thumbs go up, and the swing goes out. And a pretty little draw on that ball. Wouldn't you like to hit that about 250 yards with a draw that pretty? Let's do it again. Now remember, all you're thinking about is the thumbs up, right here, at this position. Just go through the ball and thumbs up. Let's hit it again. See if we can see how pretty it's going to be. What a nice little shot. One that we'd like to have all the time. So, if you want to get rid of the slice, it's easy. Remember, it's the sign of thumbs up to be a happy hooker. Well, are you ready to play around the golf? We're going to show you something very interesting. We're going to play the first 3 holes here at Fort Armour, but before we do, a word about our hero, Arnold Palmer. Everybody's hero. But Arnie probably has done more to hurt the average golfer than anybody because of his huge, powerful swing. I remember a few years ago I was playing an exhibition with Arnold Palmer and Dave Hill back in Colorado. We came to the 3rd hole. It was a brand new course. All of us had hit, and it was up to Palmer. There was a lake in front of the green on this par 5, and Palmer says to Dave Hill, he says, "What should I do?" And Hill says, "What should you do? You're Arnold Palmer. Go for it." Well, of course, that's the way I feel about Arnie. That's the way he's always played. Played with determination, with charisma, but mostly with power. Now, here's an important word about power. If you want to break 90, you need precision and accuracy a good deal more than power. All of us would like to hit the ball 290 yards, jump out of our shoes, have our right foot drag like Greg Norman. Well, you need that if you're going to shoot 62 at Glen Abbey like Norman has. But to break 90, you just need to keep it in play. And to illustrate that, we're going to play the 3 tough holes here at Port Armor. The first 3 holes, very difficult, with just 3 clubs. A putter, obviously, a pitching wedge, and a 7-iron. And let's just see exactly how we score, all right? Okay. Feel like Bill Murray in Caddyshack. Need a 290-yard drive. Must be a 7-iron. Well, we won't hit it. We'll hit about 150. And we're off. Now, the first hole here at Port Armor is 370 yards. It's uphill. It's a par 4. 370 yards. I hit the first shot 150, almost exactly, because I stepped it off, and I'm 221 yards from the pin. Not going to get there this time either. Okay, we're off again. I don't know if I like being a short hitter or not. Anyway, we were 220 away, hit it 150, got this little 70-yard shot. I'm using my pitching wedge because that's the only other choice I got. That's a little right. Oh, got a good kick though. Let's see what happens, okay? Woo, not bad. We'll tap that in for bogey. I really missed my point. The point is that you should be able to be putting for a par on every hole if you can hit the ball 150 yards. We just barely missed it by leaving that shot short, but we chipped up and we made a bogey. So let's go on to the second hole, which is a very, very tough par 5. Second hole is a 500-yard par 5. Now this is going to be a little tougher than the first hole because there's all kinds of trouble on this hole. It's got a split fairway, there's water in front of the green, there's a swamp a little bit to the right. We've got to be a little bit more careful here, but let's take our trusty driving 7-iron and see what happens. And we're off again. This was not a good tee shot. I only hit it about 140 yards, didn't quite catch it. But 7-iron keeps us in the fairway. Here we go again. That's a little better. That's stronger. Okay, we got a little bit of a problem here. We're between 175 and 180 yards out. Now, if we could use another club, we could put it on the green, but you can see all the trouble that's in front of the green. So because we can only hit it 150 or so, we're going to have to go left and then use a wedge and come up. So we'll hit this one a little bit left. Should be good. Well, we have to admit that that may be just a little bit better shot than we're usually typical of hitting. But the point is well made. Even if it wasn't this close, we would have been on the green somewhere in this area putting, maybe 10, 12, 14 feet for par. At least we had a chance to make par. We were on the green in 4, but it turns out that we have a pretty easy par right here. Boom! How about that? Next hole, a par 3. We're doing pretty good, aren't we? This is the third hole. It's a 140-yard par 3. Now, first of all, I have to admit that the last hole surprised me a little bit. We're going to play these first 3 holes. I thought I would go bogey, bogey, and I figured I could get a par here, so that would be 2 over after 3, and show you that you could shoot 42 or break 45 easily on 9 holes just using a 7-iron. But we got a little lucky on the last hole, so let's see what happens here. Well, this is fun. We can make this putt and be even par after 3. Make the birdie here. let's see what happens. Even if we don't, we're in still pretty good shape, aren't we? A little fast downhill. In fact, a lot fast downhill. Brake toward the water. Oh, slow down. Turn in. All right. Nice little 3. Well, we got a par, easy par there. But anyway, our point is well made. We played 3 holes, a medium-sized par 4, a good par 5, and a short par 3, and we finished 1 over par with 1 bogey and 2 pars. Actually, that's a little bit better than I intended to do, but you begin to see the point, can't you? That if you can keep the ball in play, stay out of trouble, it's surprising how low you can shoot if you begin to scramble well. When I first started Beth playing golf, that was the point I made with her. In fact, because she was a girl and because she was young, couldn't hit the ball very far, I would play with her from the members' tees. I would use just those 3 clubs, a 7-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter. And 4 different times I shot 78 on a pretty good golf course. So the point is well taken. Remember, keep the ball in play, and even if you don't have the power of Arnold Palmer or Greg Norman, if you can hit it straight and hit it at least 150 yards, there is no hole made on this planet that you can't be at least on and putting for a par. Was that rigged?
First I ever beat.
Was that rigged or not, huh?
I think so.
But the point is, of course, that power is important in life, and it is important in golf. Now, we just showed you that you really don't need it to be able to break 90, but all of us want to be able to hit a ball just a little bit further. Now, that can be done through 3 points. Now, Beth is a girl, and I have to admit that she really can't beat me at arm wrestling, although she's getting stronger. And I wouldn't even say that Beth is an extraordinarily strong young girl. Would you say that?
Not a bit. My mom can beat me arm wrestling.
But Beth hits a golf ball well over 200 yards, and that's what we want to discover. How can this young lady strike a golf ball much further than the average man? What would you say are the sources of power?
I think power, it has 3 sources. It would be weight shift, shoulder turn, and wrist cock. And when you combine the 3 of those, you'll get the greatest club head speed, which is what is the result of power.
Okay, well, why don't you show us and start off with weight shift.
Okay, I'd love to. We hit some drivers. I think that's the one I hit over 200 yards. The only one. Okay, when I talk about weight shift, you start off and your weight is fairly central. When you take your club back, you want it to the 90% of it to get to your right side. In order to get to your right side, you don't want the weight coming over the outside of that right foot. It needs to stay planted on the inside of that right foot, yet all be over on the right side. Now, the common error with men is they get it over with their body and they get a reverse pivot. Women, because our weight is central down in our lower hips, often get this move. So when I'm talking about weight shift, I don't mean this and I don't mean this. I want 90%, almost all of your weight shifted right, but keeping it with your knee planted, your foot planted, just get that upper body over to the right. Let me demonstrate on a swing.
Nicely done.
Thank you. I think the second half to weight shift is once you get it all shifted to your right side, remember it all has to go back to your left side at impact. When you see all your great players at impact, they're here. All the way they could pick up their right foot. It's the exact mirror opposite. It goes right and then it all goes to your left side.
Okay, that's excellent. So first thing is weight shift, then is shoulder turn. Now you're making an excellent shoulder turn on your backswing, but what happens with so many people is they just make an arm swing. They might shift their weight, but their arms are going. Look at the shoulders aren't turning. Tom Watson says that his back feels like it's to the target. Your shoulders turn all the way around. Your hips go 45 degrees, your shoulders go 180 degrees. They're right here. So when you make the weight shift, make certain that your shoulders are turning at the same time. And then finally, you said the third point of power is?
Wrist cock. Now, wrist cock's a tricky little subject. Many people think that cocking your wrist is a move this way. But the correct wrist cock is actually a cupping of the wrist this way, going up and down. So when you take the club back, it will cup right here, and this will stay solid. Your wrists do not break this way. It's almost like the putt where they stay solid. They stay solid and they cup and cock right there. That gives you a real consistent, solid swing that's going to hit the ball straight and powerful. you've got all this wrist cock built up, you can really go through the ball quickly.
Oh, you did go through quickly, and that's what the answer is. You want a lot of club head speed. You want to build it up as much as possible. So, weight shift, good shoulder turn, and wrist cock, and you are on your way to hitting with enormous power, just like this powerful example of well-structured womanhood. Go ahead. I don't know what to say. Go ahead and strike the ball.
Weight shift, shoulder turn, and wrist cock. The most important thing I've discovered in developing a consistent putting stroke is keeping your putter face square. It's totally essential that the face of the putter stays square with the hole through the backstroke and the follow-through if you want to be consistent, especially when you got a real pressure 2-foot putt, 3-foot putt. That means a lot. If your face is square, your chance for error is very, very minimized, and you're going to be more solid and more consistent through your putts. What I've discovered with most people who are inconsistent, especially on short putts, is they have a tendency to make one of two errors. First of all, they either pull it inside, which causes them to push it, or they take it outside, which would make them consequently pull it. What you need to do is some people visualize a line. You can use a chalk line as a drill. Take a chalk line, draw it on there. They have a line on your putter. Make sure that stays straight with the hole and straight through the hole. Let's try again. Keep it square back and square right through the hole.
Beth, you're a little too modest to admit it, but stand over the putter. Again, what I like best about you is you're absolutely perfect in this area with your forearms, your wrist, and your hands. It all works together as one unit, and if anyone can learn from you, that's what they can learn. Go ahead and strike a couple putts and just watch the way that everything works together as a unit. Go ahead and hit another one. That's absolutely perfect. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's the only way you're going to be a good and consistent putter. There's no wrist taking over.
Exactly, especially on long putts. By maintaining that angle and that firmness, you know the touch. The touch is not, Ben Crenshaw has natural touch, that's true. But a lot of us have to learn our touch. And by not doing this, by using a firm stroke, you can develop, you're going to know how hard to hit it. And you can always hit it firm because it's not going to get away from you. You're not going to slap it. You're not going to get your hands into it. You're going to hit it firm, but it's not going to get away from you.
And best of all, you're not going to decelerate.
That's true.
Two crimes are being wristy and then big swing and decelerate.
Take it a long way back and ease up because you don't want to hit it too far. That's true.
So we're going to hit it firm and everything working together.
Exactly.
Now we talked about touch, and we have one key for them that both of us learned from touring pro David Ogren,
Exactly.
which may be one of the best things that you'll learn in this entire series, and it will help you become a very good putter. Now watch what we're going to do. We're going over the hole. You think the hole is only this wide. It's not. It's much wider. For instance, I'll put a ball here, and it falls in there. Put the ball here, and it falls in there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how wide the hole really is if you put it the exact distance, the distance of the equator of the hole. In other words, if you have a 4.5-foot putt, you put it 4.5 feet, there's no way it's not going to fall in. Wherever it is, it's going to fall in. Because the weight of the ball right here makes it drop if it's dying at the hole. Okay, let's finish up by watching Beth strike some putts. Okay, time out. Time to do my impression. No, I'm not going to do James Cagney or Jimmy Stewart. I'm going to do Seve Ballesteros, talking about the great Spaniard, because take a look at this shot. Here we are, we're on the cart path. We're about 65 yards away from the green. Now, Seve, you know, can put it close. Let's see what happens. Eat your heart out, Sevy. No, I don't think Sevy's worried at all. But this is a very good illustration about how to hit a sand wedge. In fact, when I used to practice with my sand wedge, it drove my father crazy because I would go out on the sidewalk with a shag bag of balls and hit 30, 40, and 50-yard sand wedges off the sidewalk. If you can hit a sand wedge off a hard pan lie or off a cart path or a sidewalk, believe me, you are executing it exactly right. Now, what's wrong with most people's sand wedge or pitching wedge or any shot that they use for the pitch is that, like with putting and like with chipping, they're too wristy. They break down right here, the club face goes in front of the hands, it bounces in the ball, hits it low, blades it, or chunks behind it. What you want? The hands in front at impact. Axiom, you have to have the hands in front on all these shots at impact, and your wrist must be firm. Not stiff, just firm. So you're going through it like this, hands in front and wrist firm. Let's hit it one more time and see what happens. Maybe we can put it even closer.
Slow, darling. Release. Get there. Come on. Come on.
Well, obviously, we're not going to hit all our golf shots with the pitching wedge or with the sand wedge off of cart paths, but the same principle applies. And believe me, if you spend a little time practicing hitting a ball off something that's very hard, then you will have what you need to be an excellent sand and pitching wedge player. Now, remember, the secret is keep the hands in front and the wrist firm. That is what works. Let's hit a couple shots to the green from a regular lie. Same thing. We really concentrate. Nice rhythm. Hands in front, wrist firm at impact. Just a little shot. Let's hit one more. Watch the form. Now you've got it. You've worn out your wedge hitting off your sidewalk, so your wrists are now firm through the shot and your hands are always in front. You've got it. Incidentally, when I talk about sand wedge, you can use a sand wedge or a pitching wedge. It just depends on your preference from those 30, 40, 50, 60-yard shots. I prefer a sand wedge because I like the little extra loft that it has, and I can feel like I'm smoother through the shot, but you can use a pitching wedge, whatever you prefer. Now we come to a crucial part. How do you get the ball close? How do you hit it 30, 40, 50, 60 yards? Here is the best drill for you. It's not hitting balls, it's hitting balls for distance. The way you learn is picture yourself as being a clock. You're at the center. Over here is 9 o'clock. Hit balls in your backyard or anywhere going back this far to 9 o'clock. Only that distance. And just hit a lot of balls, 100 balls, and figure out what your average is. Take it back and hit it. Now I hit it from 9 o'clock about 50 yards. That means when I'm at 8 o'clock, I hit it about 40. When I'm at 7, about 30 yards. That gives you such a good mechanical feel that you know exactly how hard to hit the ball. Next, you just have to be good at estimating distances. So practice. And remember, start with 9 o'clock and then step it off. In chipping, you hear a lot of reference about the possibility of using a 5-iron if it's a long shot, a 9-iron for shorter, and so forth. One tip for chipping: select one club. It might be a 6-iron, might be a 7-iron, might be an 8-iron. I prefer an 8-iron for all my chip shots for whatever distance it is. That way you develop a consistent touch. So remember, same principle applied chipping and pitching. Wrist firm, hands in front, but you practice with your 8-iron, 7-iron, or 6-iron, and you become a one-club wonder. How's this for a little test? Got to clear the water, and then there's water going all the way left side of the green. So what do? Maintain our confidence level. And we bail out right. We hit it into the trap. There it goes back into the bunker. Which brings us to our next problem. How do we handle sand play? Let's go see. What usually happens when a golfer is faced with this kind of shot is all kinds of negative thoughts come in. Plus, he doesn't have the right technique. one of three things happens. Usually when he swings, he will dig the club in and the ball will just barely move. Or he takes a swing and catches the ball thin. It just flies out of the trap, almost kills somebody on the other side. Or then third, you take a swing where you take a big swing and think, oops, that's too hard. Decelerate, hit the ball softly, and leave it in the bunker. Three things could happen, none of them good. Well, we're going to teach you how to hit the proper bunker shot, and it's a lot easier than you really think. And of all the fine sand players in the country, I've covered the PGA Tour for some 10 years, Gary Player and Chichi Rodriguez, without question, the best sand players I've ever seen. But I'm going to put Beth Kurtz right up there in the top three. Now, Beth's an excellent sand player for a simple reason. She had to be. She learned to play golf on a course with deep-faced bunkers, and fortunately, we had a fairway bunker in our backyard, and I would just put her out there in the bunker and let her practice because I knew if she was going to play the course with any degree of skill, she had to learn to get up and down from the greenside bunkers, and she's learned it excellently. So we're going to have Beth help us with learning some sand shots. So Beth, come on in here and let's talk about this trouble.
Okay.
Of course, when you had to learn to hit those sand shots, we didn't have a lake behind us either, did we? Where we hit it a little thin, went in the water and got wet. There are three things that are really important in sand play, and only three things that you really have to remember. It's a lot easier. The sand shot is an easier shot than there is anywhere else in golf because you don't have to hit the ball. All you got to do is hit somewhere behind the ball. The ball is approximately the size of a softball or a grapefruit. So it's an easy shot. Get that in your mind first. Then, here are the three things. One is you have to keep the club face open. That's an axiom. If you're going to hit a normal bunker shot, keep the club face open. That's why Gene Sarazen designed it with the bounce on the bottom. This is called the flange. It bounces through the sand, but you've got to keep the club face open. If you don't, if it's closed, it digs into the sand. That leaves the ball in. Keep the club face open. Second, take plenty of sand. The sand is there. It's easy. Just hit behind the sand. Don't be afraid of it and hit it. And thirdly,
Swing big. Hit it hard.
And follow through, right.
That's right.
And we're going to let Beth show you how to do this with all these principles. So I'm going to let you get that out. I hit it there, but I'm going to let you get it out and put it close to the green. Okay, go ahead, Sue. We'll worry about that when we get there. Okay, go ahead and hit it. Nice shot.
This isn't too hard a shot, so we're going to make it a little harder. That is. Dale Douglas suggests using a 9-iron when it's severely plugged like this ball is. So I have a 9-iron here. I'm going to swing it the same as my sand wedge, but I'm going to make sure the club face stays a little bit closed so it'll help get the ball out, but I'm still going to take a lot of sand and swing big and follow through. Ready. What about those shots when you don't have a flat level lie where it's sitting up? What about those days when you see your ball sitting here on a side hill lie and you're hoping it's your partner or your opponent preferably and it's yours? Well, always remember to keep your body at the same slope as the sand is going. Do the same principles, keep that face open, swing big, and take lots of sand. Make sure you're at that angle as of the slope. Woo! I'll play that one. Then we have the opposite. This is when it's on a down slope, and I don't think anyone likes this shot, especially when you got water over the green. But it's not that hard if you maintain your same principles, this time getting your weight going to your left because it's a down slope, keeping it with the sand, take lots of sand, swing it big, and let it go close.
One of the things, though, when you're in sand play that you have to remember, too, is your equipment. Make sure that you have a good sand wedge, and please, don't try to play golf and attempting to break 90 without a sand wedge. It can't be done. Otherwise, you're just giving it up. I remember Chichi Rodriguez said it best when he was just coming out on the tour. He was having a little trouble with the language. Told his caddy he had a tough shot, and he says, "Give me a sand wedge." He says his caddy went and got him a ham on rye. We'll conclude by watching Beth hit some sand shots. Let's watch her. Disaster. Let's talk about disaster. Now, disasters are very popular when they're in the movies with the towering inferno and airport and that sort of thing, but disasters, we don't want any part of them out on the golf course, and yet that may be the most important thing that you can learn from this series is how to avoid the disaster, how to avoid the 7, 8, 9, even double figures on a hole. How do you do it? Well, disaster mostly comes with trees, water, sand, out of bounds. So those are natural disasters just waiting to happen. But there's an important lesson you can learn apart from just seeing what's there, and that is
your attitude. How you approach the shot when you think, I'm in trouble. Well, as soon as you think I'm in trouble, you probably are. So try approaching it thinking, this isn't that hard. I've done this before. Or, what a challenging shot. You see water? Wow, that just makes it more important shot, more concentration, more effort. Don't look at it as what am I going to do. Don't let doubt creep in. Don't let uncertainty creep in. Have a game plan and let execution take its place. For instance, perfect example, I've got a clear water here. I could get nervous and I could get all upset, but just think, all I have to do, it's the same ball, it's the same club, it's the same person hitting. All you do is make sure you clear the water. Take enough club. Don't underclub. That's just careless. If you don't take enough club to clear the water, you've already added a shot or two on your score. So first of all, take plenty of club. You think it's a wedge, maybe hit a 9-iron. Just don't hit it all, or hit it all and have a 15-foot putt past the hole. So if I'm going to hit this shot, first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that I clear the water.
Of course, you can almost hit it in the hole like that, but that's important. Never, ever hit the ball in the water by club selection. This includes on layup shots. When you lay up a ball, lay it up. Right, lay up, lay up. If you think that it's a 5-iron in the water, and if you hit your best 5-iron, how often has it just trickled in? If it's a 5-iron, hit a 7-iron. When you're clearing water, if it's a 7-iron shot, hit a 5-iron. So what if you're on the back fringe of the green? So what if you're even long? You haven't given up the shot that's in the water plus the toss out. Never hit a ball into the water by club selection. Now let's move on to the next lesson.
Exactly, the same principle holds true for clearing a bunker to hitting to a green. Now, the temptation is often to try and hit it 2 feet away, just clear the bunker and let it roll up stony. Well, that's not always your best choice. You may want to opt to just clear the bunker. Make sure you clear it. And you're more likely to make that 12-footer if it goes by than holing out your shot if you just dropped it in, leaving it a foot short. Let me demonstrate. Now that cleared the bunker by probably about 15-20 feet, and I did go 10 feet by the hole, but I'm going to make that putter have a lot more better chance of making it than I would if I had gotten fancy, tried to really hit it up a foot short, and dropped it in that bunker. Well, here we are, deep in the woods, often where we find ourselves but not plan to be. I like to think of this as a specialty shot. If you think of it as trouble shot, there again you got a little fear, a little doubt, little uncertainty. If you think of it as a specialty shot, it's a challenge. It's a goal to get it out, get it back in play, and still make your par or even your bogey. but I think I'm going to let you hit this shot. You're a little more comfortable with this specialty shot than I am.
I'm quite a deal more familiar with the shot than Beth is. She tends to keep it in play, and I've been in the woods a lot in my life. But what Beth said was right. Your attitude is so important. Look at it as a sense of fun and adventure to do your best. Now, there's one other point, though. People say that a tree is 90% air. When you're in the woods, don't you believe it. If there's an overhanging limb, trust me, you will hit it if it's at all possible. So don't give yourself any chance at all. Like when you're clearing water, make the right club selection. See this branch that's overhanging there? It looks like I can easily get under it with probably a 5-iron, maybe a 6-iron. Don't do it. I've selected a 3-iron. I'm going to keep the ball well low and under it. First principle is get it out, keep it low, and get it back into play. All right, now that one's back in play. We've kept it under the branch. But suppose you've got a little bit more difficulty. You're looking at it and you're nervous about this opening. Can I get it through those trees? Secret. Pick out a tree and use that as your target. What I'll do here is I will aim at the tree on the right, just this outside edge of the tree, and then I will just pull the ball a little bit. I'm aimed at the tree, I will pull it, and that will pull it through the opening. All right, if I want to do it the other way, I'll aim at the tree on the left, like that, and then I'll push it just a little bit. In other words, I give myself a chance for error. If you try to miss, or try to hit in the opening and miss the trees, you'll either push it or pull it and hit either the tree on the left or the tree on the right. So aim at one of the trees and then either push it or pull it, depending upon your preference. And we're back in play.
Now we have another problem. You push that drive just enough to land in this fairway bunker, but you still want a chance to save your par, or then again take that easy bogey. So the underlying principle here, make sure you catch it thin. Hit the back of the ball, don't catch the sand, don't try and hit it high and hit the bottom of the ball. Principle to doing this is play it off your right foot. Dig deep in the sand. Always get a good solid stance. That way you're not going to move. You're going to stay real solid. You want to hit it thin, so choke it down just a little bit. That way you don't have as much chance of catching the sand. So choke it down, play it off your right foot, and then make sure you don't take sand and you catch the ball thin. Just like that. It's not that difficult a shot.
Beth just gave you some wonderful words to live by. In that, if you are ever in doubt, play it back towards your right foot and hit it thin. You've heard the phrase, thin to win. Believe me, trust it. Thin to win. Whenever in doubt, hit it thin. Take a look at this shot. You've been faced with it a lot of times. This is pine straw, loose dirt, and how often have you just fluffed it and chunked it? The way to do it, as Beth said, play it back towards your right foot, choke the club down a little bit, make sure that you're lined up to the back of the ball, and then hit it thin.
Well, that was just a fair shot, but you're putting.
That's right, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. It wasn't a great golf shot, but it was on the green, and we have a chance to make a long putt for a par and a 2-putt for an easy bogey. That is a principle we're trying to live by. Stay away from those horrible disasters. So the way you do it, one is select the right club. Don't overestimate your ability. Never hit it in the water by underclubbing or into that bunker, and make sure you get it out of those trees. And then secondly, whenever you are in doubt, whenever you've got a tough lie or anything, hit it thin to win.
And finally, keep in mind that trouble isn't trouble unless you think it is, unless you approach it that way. If you stand up to a shot and you're doubtful and you're uncertain, well, you may be in trouble and you may leave it in that trouble. So if you approach it as fun, adventurous, as a challenge, it will be, and you'll be successful at it, and you'll start enjoying all the different challenges and different shots you'll be hitting too.
Well, I'm feeling kind of bad. It's been so much fun working with you and doing this series. But we do sincerely believe, both Beth and I do, that if you are conscientious and apply yourself, that you can break 90 in 30 days if you work very hard on some of the things that we have told you. And remember, finally, to take full advantage of all that is available to you. There's all kinds of new equipment out there, longer balls, better clubs.
And also, remember to practice. Practice the swing your club pro teaches you, all the new techniques and drills that he wants you to do. but also often less enticing, practice your short game, practice your putting, your chipping, your bunker play. Keep in mind that that's where a lot of your score is rounded up. That's where your shots are added up. It's not as much fun often, but you need to remember to practice that putting and chipping.
So many people like to go out and just pound balls, and you should at least spend 50% of your time on the short game. That's where the strokes really mount up. Thirdly, use your brain. Plan strategy. Know how you're going to play a certain course. If it's your home course, you better know how to play it. Use your mind. As Beth said earlier, make the challenges fun. Look at them as adventures, not as disasters. And then fourthly and finally, and maybe most importantly, there is one other advantage that is available to every one of you. And we're going to bring him in here. It's Rick Dodge. Rick is the club professional here at beautiful Port Armor. And of course, these guys are the heart and soul of the game of golf, and they're available.
I just wanted to reiterate what Bob, you and Beth were saying, that if you're serious about improving your golf game, see your local PGA professional for some help as often as you can.
And breaking 90, if that's your goal, we think it is a very easy goal to achieve. And now we're going to have a little bit of a putting contest. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, we're going to putt for dollars or dimes or nickels or what? You go ahead.
Dollars.
Dollars? No, we never putt for dollars.